And welcome once again to Phuket in Focus here on Phuket News TV as we speak to some of the expats here on the island to find out their views about things that affect you. And we'll be joined very shortly by Nadine Oliver and also Tim Shaw. We're going to be having a talk about the various concerts we've had here on the island and what expats want to see, and also some of the recent boat tragedies. Very important though today, we're coming to you from the beautiful, I suppose it's a TV set, it's Beach Project, and it features the Bugatti Retreat in PP and also Silver Beach here in Phuket. So thank you very much to Beach Project. We'll be back with Phuket in Focus right after this.
There's a new standard of luxury on the horizon, a niche new way to live your life without the extra cost. Visit honcho8.com for details today. Affordable contemporary living, luxury redefined.
And welcome once again to Phuket in Focus as we find out what's on the minds of some of the expats here on the island. And it's a great place. It's a bit of an Aussie invasion today. We've got Nadine Oliver, who's a local raconteur, mother, a bit of everything. You've sort of been here for how long?
Oh, 17, almost 18 years now.
Almost a local. Yes. And a bit of a newbie, Tim Shaw, welcome.
Sawadee Krap.
And you are the Channel 7 correspondent for Thailand.
I am the Thailand correspondent for the 7 Network Australia.
Officially, just look underneath, that's what it says. Okay, welcome to you both, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Let's start with something a little bit serious, because there hasn't been just one sinking of a boat around Phuket. There's actually been 3 in the last month. Would you get onto a boat and go to PP?
Well, these were dive boats, Tim, and fortunately no deaths, and clearly because they can all swim very, very well. Recreational extreme tourism is a global phenomenon, and it's growing, and what we now need to see, certainly for the Phuket community and for those businesses, is more stringent safety and survey controls for the boats. We've got some very talented local ship's masters, Thais, that have been trained to look after these boats, but clearly with 3 sinkings in such a short period of time, there needs to be an investigation, and probably the regulations need to be upped.
We sort of know none of that's going to happen. This isn't an extreme tourism, by the way. This is just taking a boat trip out to an island.
Yeah, obviously there needs to be a little bit more awareness with the local companies here in educating their staff.
I've got a funny feeling it's just part of the fact that the island and the population and the number of tourists coming here is growing so fast that what might have been 1 boat trip to the island in the past has now become 2 trips a day, and the boats just sort of aren't up to it.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. When you have increased insurance claims from tourists that have lost expensive diving equipment, the insurance companies are going to start saying, we're not covering you for diving in Thailand. That's when you're going to see action. So generally, motorbike accident or a paragliding accident, you now know insurance companies won't cover you for that. If they don't lift their game here in Thailand and in other parts of Asia, diving will be off the insurance book.
Nadine, have you taken a trip out to one of the islands in your 17 or 18 years here?
Well, I take as many as often as I can, really, ranging from, long-tail boats to the local speed boats.
And did you give a sort of a second thought of the fact that the boat might sink?
No, I pray a lot, and I hope that the angels are always around protecting our safety.
But yeah, I suppose the point is we just don't expect a boat, which is sort of like a bus taking us to an island, is going to sink.
No, we trust the company that we're going along with for the day, and we take our safety for granted. But Phuket in general, I think now is becoming a lot more dangerous, just in general. You're out on the roads, out on the boats, there's more people, so there's obviously a lot more people to deal with.
It is a tourist island. Now let's talk about the election. There was an election here a few weeks ago. Not that you'd know much about it because the result is inconclusive and there are court cases, and we'll let the Thais sort that out. But what are you saying to your friends back in Australia or other parts of the world about what's happening here in Thailand?
Look, I had a call this week from a person who's in the airline industry that asked my very close friend, is it safe to go to Thailand? Now, he's a really educated aircraft pilot. A lot of people don't distinguish what's been happening in Bangkok to the rest of Thailand, and that's a big challenge as well. One particular case was delegates over 600 delegates to a conference in Bangkok, the American company cancelled the conference. They told 450 delegates not to go to Thailand, and the 150 remaining transferred to Singapore. The net impact to the Thai economy there was in the hundreds of thousands, if not more than $1 million US. One conference cancelled, and I think people need to take a good long hard look at the economic damage that's being done.
It's interesting. I've been driving around over the past month, as I do, and thinking, gee, it's a little bit quieter, or maybe it's not. But then I go down to Patong the last couple of days, and it's just packed. And
everywhere seems packed, doesn't it? Wherever you go.
So, are there people cancelling their trips as much as we think?
I think there are a lot of cancellations going on all across the board in Thailand. Unfortunately, the international media sometimes can really dramatise some of the events that are going on. We all understand, obviously, that it's a serious situation in Bangkok. We've all seen the footage ourselves. Here on Phuket, everything is going as strong as ever, I believe.
Well, the anecdotal evidence is that people are cancelling their trips to Bangkok and going to Chiang Mai or Phuket instead. Let's move on to another event, probably a more pleasant event for a lot of people, and that's music. A couple of months ago there was an ABBA concert here on the island, and just recently there was one of the Beatles. It wasn't actually ABBA or the Beatles. These were cover bands. Now, the ABBA one was very, very popular, but the Beatles concert was less so. So the question is ABBA more popular than the Beatles?
Mamma mia, here we go again. The answer to that is yes, and your generations have grown up with the music of ABBA, and however good or bad the cover band is, you can sing along with the ABBA tunes. Look, I'm a fan of the ABBA.
Sing along to the Beatles too.
I'm a fan of ABBA, and I'm a fan of Beatles as well. But gee, we've lost John Lennon, we've lost George Harrison, and so two parts thereof of this amazing band, but all four ABBA members are still alive. I wonder if that's got something to do with it.
Ask me if I went to either of the concerts.
Did you go to either of those concerts?
I do. I got the syntax wrong, didn't I? How about yourself?
I actually didn't go to either event either, I have to say. However, I do know many people that did go along, and they seem to have a good time at both of them.
But why were the ABBA concerts very busy and the Beatles less so?
To sum it up, one of the events had a major marketing machine behind it with, I would say, quite extensive budgets and things, whereas the other event did not.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it probably comes back to the fact, do we think expats want to go to these sort of things?
That's the point. I mean, there's 25,000 expatriates living on the island, and there are many of them in full-time employment, flat out, and don't really have the time. But if it had been the British International School with all the kids doing ABBA songs, or if it had been Siobhan's music studio with all of her kids, that's when you would see a big night out. And I think that was made true with Phantom of the Opera when that was on at Underwoods. It was a fantastic show. There were many local identities involved. I think that is the key. So sometimes when local promoters want to do something, you've got to think long and hard. Who is going to be your audience?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm going to ask you both, what concert could be put on the island that you would go to? Nadine?
Oh, I have too many to actually single out anyone. Which one?
Chappelle, the musical.
Now, for those people that are watching that don't know what we're talking about, I won't even go there.
Don't even go there.
That's very funny. Actually.
Chappelle the musical.
Are you going to star in that one?
I'd play Chappelle's mother.
No, it'd be a real duo as to who'd get lead role between Tim Shaw and Tim Newton, let me tell you.
All right, now who would you go to? What should the organisers of these concerts put on to get you to go?
Oh, I think, I would like to see a lot more international bands and international acts coming through the island. I think there's a market for it now. I believe there are a lot of different concerts going on somewhere behind the
see
scenes.
Luciano Pavarotti or something, is it? Or the Bangkok Philharmonic Orchestra.
I think we'll see a lot more high-profile artists coming through the island in the next few years because the market's ready for it.
I think this is the key too. I mean, we've had the Mousetrap, complete British cast of the Mousetrap up there in Bangkok. Avril Lavigne recently played in Bangkok as well.
Phantom of the Opera last year. The Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, and so a smart marketer will ride off the back of the Bangkok concert and probably just do one or 2 special nights in Phuket. That then achieves the tour objectives and the artist gets a holiday in Phuket.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great to hear your views. Nadine Oliver, thank you.
Thank you.
And Tim Shaw, always fun.
Kop kun kap kun Tim.
And we'll be back with more Phuket in Focus next week.